a Cochrane systematic review that is the gold standard. The main motto of Cochrane is to disseminate the best viable evidence.
Hello everyone, so today we are ready for a new break related with Cochrane Rehabilitation.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Science in the Break. In this episode, we cover systematic reviews and evidence-based health decision making. We are so excited to have 3 speakers from the Cochrane Rehabilitation who will share their knowledge on these topics. In the first part of the episode, we will hear from Dr. Carlotte Kiekens, who will give us an overview of Cochrane Rehabilitation. Following this, we will be speaking with Dr. Chiara Arienti, who will give us a more specific overview of systematic reviews, as well as some opportunities for young researchers to get involved with Cochrane Rehabilitation. And lastly, we will be talking with Vanessa Young, who will give us an example of an opportunity for young researchers to get involved with Cochrane Rehabilitation. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Hi Carlotte, so thank you for being our guest for Science in the Break. Can you explain more in general what is Cochrane?
Sure, hi Francesco. Cochrane is a worldwide institute that is based as a charity in the United Kingdom, but it's in fact a big community made of volunteers, scientists all over the world, but also institutions, universities, hospitals, who work on evidence synthesis. So the vision of Cochrane is that politicians or authorities make their decisions on health based on the best available evidence. And so what they mostly do, the core business is doing systematic reviews of the available evidence and mostly randomized controlled trials. That's what Cochrane does.
And then I know you work more in particular on the rehabilitation chapter.
Exactly. So Cochrane is organized in different kinds of groups. First there are the review groups who do the reviews, but they are usually based on, for example, a health condition like Cochrane stroke, Cochrane musculoskeletal, Cochrane back and neck, or also other health conditions. These groups are organized in 8 networks. Then there are the geographic centers like Cochrane Italy, Cochrane Belgium, Cochrane US, and they are responsible for knowledge translation within their country. They also give courses, education, and also do, in some cases, translations. Then there are the fields, the Cochrane fields, and Cochrane Rehabilitation is one of the 13 fields who work on a dimension rather than on a health condition. And this is very specific for rehabilitation because a study was done on Cochrane reviews relevant for rehabilitation, and they were over more than half of the Cochrane review groups. So for practitioners in rehabilitation, it's very difficult to find the right evidence because it's really very sparse all over Cochrane. And so a field is in fact a bridge between Cochrane and between practice. And we want to bridge between rehabilitation practice, multi-professional obviously, and Cochrane. So on the one hand, we want to disseminate the reviews relevant for rehabilitation to the practitioners, and on the other hand, we also want to bring the problems of the field to Cochrane. Research in rehabilitation is not so easy. Randomized controlled trials are not always possible, are very difficult because of numbers of people, because you cannot blind people, because of the type of interventions. And so we are also working on methodology to improve also the quality of the different methods of research in rehabilitation. Because one of the problems is that there are, and a big frustration of people with Cochrane is that there are a lot of what they call empty reviews, or a conclusion that there is not enough evidence or not enough quality evidence for interventions in rehabilitation. So that is one of the things we're also working on.
How does it work, that kind of bridge between the Cochrane Rehabilitation expertise and the clinician?
So within Cochrane Rehabilitation, we have 5 working areas. One is the review area, where we really tag all the reviews. So what we have done the last years is we looked at all the reviews that are in Cochrane, and we looked if they were relevant for rehabilitation practice. And they are all bundled on our website, on the webpage Evidence. So now a clinician can go on our website, and you can search either by health condition or by professional. So a physiotherapist, for example, can look all the reviews that are relevant for physiotherapy. So that is already making it very much more easy to access the evidence. The second area is the communication area, and there we really work on the dissemination. We, for example, make blog shots. Blog shots is one slide, so we screen all the new reviews that are published, and then if it's relevant for rehabilitation, we make a synthesis, a summary of the conclusions, in fact, in one slide. And this we send around through our newsletter that we send out monthly, through all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So that is also a way of, in a very easy, fast way, sending this to the patients. Then we have the publication area, where we have agreements with different journals in the field of rehabilitation. And there we make Cochrane Corners. So we summarize a Cochrane review and make a discussion from a rehabilitation perspective. So the clinician can read in 1-2 pages the essentials of the review and what it means for his practice. Then we have the education area, where we organize like workshops in congresses, and we are now working on making also some online platform with webinars or material available online. And then the last but not least is the methodology area, where we work on the methodology problems like reporting, for example. We did a study looking at papers published even with RCTs in rehab journals, and we saw that a lot of data were lacking to be able to replicate the study or to bring it into practice. So that are the 5 working areas.
Yes, and then the other focus that I like to have is more related with the young researchers. So I know that most of the PhD, they need to do systematic review.
Sure.
Maybe can you explain a bit more if a young researcher can get that level, or if not, how they can get that level for the reviews?
That's a good question. So indeed, a Cochrane review is a review of the highest quality, which means that it has a very strict methodology of searching the literature, of assessing the level of evidence, the quality, looking for the risk of bias, and there's a whole handbook, the Cochrane handbook, to do systematic review. So it needs a lot of time, patience, and a lot of motivation, but I think it is really very instructive for the researcher, because it gives a good basis of what is already there and how to go further with the own research. Because if you assess the literature in a very good way, it will also help you on doing yourselves better studies, because if you see how they are assessed, you can learn a lot also of errors that made others, so it will for sure improve your own research in the future. The advantage is that you go to a group and they also help you. There are editors, there's a lot of expertise. There are courses, there are workshops, the Cochrane Centers organize courses. It's a choice to make, but I think it's something that teaches a lot to young researchers.
Hi, Chiara. Thank you for being here.
First of all, thank you so much for this invitation. And I'm always very happy to share my experience, my research experience that started in 2016 with my application for a PhD in Cochrane Rehabilitation. and I worked in Cochrane for 4 years as PhD student. Cochrane Rehabilitation, born with me, with my PhD.
I already spoke a bit with Carlotte, but I would like to understand a bit more with you how a young researcher could interact with Cochrane Rehabilitation.
We have a specific activities and we have a specific project to carry on, and we often need contributors for these projects, for these activities. So usually if the people want to collaborate with us, we propose project or work or activity from Cochrane Rehabilitation. And then as Cochrane Rehabilitation, we adhere to another student program that is the Cochrane International Mobility. And inside this education training, we have a specific program for students, for health professionals, but also for other background, for PhD students that want to learn about the Cochrane systematic review and to learn how to disseminate the evidence inside and outside Cochrane. So we have these two different situations. The headquarters, that is a fixed structure inside the organization of Cochrane Rehabilitation. And then we have the educational program that is the Cochrane International Mobility. And inside this, there is a specific Cochrane Rehabilitation program for students. You can find this program, the Cochrane International Mobility, inside the task exchange program in Cochrane Rehabilitation. There is a specific website, and here you can find the Cochrane International Mobility, and you can see the proposal came out from different Cochrane groups. One of these is Cochrane Rehabilitation, and so if you are interested to collaborate in a rehabilitation topic, you can apply our Cochrane International Mobility program. We used the Cochrane International Mobility to find a young researcher available to help us in this project, and we found different people, and they started to collaborate with us on these people, and the exchange was they help us to conduct the rapid reviews. They learn the methodology of the on how to conduct a rapid review, and at the end they will be the author of this paper. So yes. I think that is a good exchange, yes. Exactly. And then eventually we collaborate also with another Cochrane group dedicated to the student. The name is Student for Best Evidence. It is a blog, just a blog, for student came from different background, always in health professionals. Student can write some article in different topics, and so the exchange is you can write an article on this blog, and so you produce an article, and so you can share your competencies, your skills, yes. with other students, or eventually you can learn something on specific topics reading the articles written by other students.
Are there options also to help in dissemination, or to let's say close that gap between the reviews and the clinician, because then ultimately we want to help a clinician with our research?
Exactly, yes. If the people, the students are interested also in this activity, they are very welcome. For example, to do the blog shot, that is a very short summary of a Cochrane systematic review in rehabilitation, or eventually to write a Cochrane corner in a specific, that is a very short article, the summary of a Cochrane review, but as article.
Thanks a lot, Vanessa, for being here with us for Science in the Break. Chiara told me about your experience that I think is really interesting for young researchers to understand how they can be included in Cochrane rehabilitation.
Okay, so thank you, Francesca, for having me here with you today, having this virtual coffee together. So I have a cup too from Seattle. So I basically joined Cochrane last June 2020. I was working in Germany, but due to COVID, I couldn't go to the clinic anymore because all the non-emergency treatments were halted. And so I was trying to find a way to remain connected to the field, to, you know, do something, make the difference, and also continue my growth, because I just graduated with my master, so I know that I still have a lot to learn. So I started looking around the web, and I remember about Cochrane because I used Cochrane during my graduate studies to find the systematic reviews and identify the gaps. And I discovered that I could create an account, and through the task, you are able to gain membership. I started with Cochrane Crowd, which is that area where you help Cochrane identifying like RCTs, or the randomized control trial. You do the coding, and then afterwards I transitioned to Cochrane Task Exchange. And here you find a list of tasks that you can apply for. You can decide. There are all the groups posting for help. And I started there by doing some peer review and some for protocols and for systematic reviews, the one that then they need to be submitted for approval. After about 2 or 3 months, I believe, I saw that Cochrane Rehabilitation posted this opportunity with the Cochrane International Mobility Program. And so I applied. I saw that they had, oh, this is, I was not aware of Cochrane Rehab before. Sorry, everybody. I learned.
It's pretty new, you know, it's 2016. So.
True that. And I was a little bit tentative at the beginning because I thought maybe they needed somebody with more experience. Maybe they want an MD or something like that. But I decided to apply it at the hand. I sent my application, and after a brief interview with Chiara, she wanted me on board for a project. So we started our journey together around August 2020, and we are working on a review together. And that's the part that was that I wanted to share with you about my experience and my, you know, my fear of not being, at that stage yet to be competitive enough to be part of that program. It's to ease the worries on other people like me that are entry-level researchers. So don't be afraid, because I have found both Cochrane and Cochrane Rehabilitation in particular, since I've been working with them for 1 year, to be very welcoming of entry-level researchers. I think that there is that acknowledgement that is important to nurture new researchers, because then they will be the ones conducting review. So it's an investment for the future. And I think they have a strong awareness of that rite of passage, and so they invest a lot in us, and so you don't feel like you don't belong. I always felt like I belong and I had a role, and my role is changing and evolving as I learn more, and there are always opportunity to learn because you get to listen to experts from around the world, and it's been an incredible opportunity for like networking purposes also. And what I think it's true that you have to have a general knowledge of all the process. I don't think you can become the experts of everything. Like, I know I cannot become a statistician because statisticians study for many, many years, but I can grow my expertise on that level.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying, especially the idea to have an open mind, in the sense that there are several fields that you can't know properly, but at least you know what they mean, like statistics. But so you know all this field, and then obviously you are focused mostly in your specific domain, but you have like a helicopter view, and you have like a complete vision, and you are not like a narrow.
Yeah. There is that group for you based on your expertise, and just apply, just be meticulous, be present. Be like when you decide to apply, especially to the CIN program, just be sure you have the time to dedicate, because with the task change, you can pick and choose what you want to do. And so that means you can manage your time, because you can pick one task every 2 months, one task every 3 months, one task a year. It's totally about you. But once you enter the CIN program, you then are part of the project. And so you have to be committed to that program, that learning, and that opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's also a good lesson for a research career to have to learn how to manage the time, because you need always to make planning for time management when you do a PhD and afterwards. And if you have deadlines and commitment, it can be intimidating at the beginning, I know, but then it's also really useful to be more structured. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I have in mind at least 3 points that I want just to remind you. The first one is related with systematic reviews. With Cochrane, you can get new skills in order to get really high quality systematic reviews. The second one, research network. It is so crucial for researchers to have a large and diverse research network, because with this community, you have the possibility to approach researchers with all around the world with different skills. The third point is related with science communication. As we know, is really crucial.
So I would encourage everybody to go on the Cochrane website of Cochrane in general, where you can really find a lot of resources, also educational, and for people involved in the field of rehabilitation, come to our website and or write to us, and we can see what are your interests or your talents or your competencies, and we can for sure find some work to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlotte.
Thank you for your interest.
Don't hesitate to contact us if you have a question, and we will be really happy to have you as a next guest for Science in the Break. Bye.